Hello, Blaze Radio. I'm Zach Bradshaw. You are watching Blaze Radio's exclusive coverage of the South by Southwest Film Festival that happened in Austin, Texas last week and throughout the weekend. And today I have the honor of speaking with Carina, Mia Wong, and Alex Simmons, the directors of We Can Be Heroes, which made its world premiere at the South by Southwest Film Festival. This is a movie about live action role play in upstate New York. And it's these teenagers who are self-proclaimed as nerdy, and they find a community for themselves about foam swords and sword fighting. It's a very cool story. It's a very unique story. So, guys, just from your perspective, I mean, you worked on this film. What does this film mean to you guys?
Yeah, what a question. I mean, what I think this film means something so different for everyone, and I think that's what can be so special about it. For me, I think this film is really about finding yourself and kind of the throes that we all go through during those teenage years of just a lot of awkwardness, a lot of growing pains, but also these really light, sort of lightning in the bottle, beautiful, formative moments that create the person we're going to be. But so the film, as you said, follows three different campers as they go through this 1 week playing this imaginative adventure game. And I think we really try to honor seeing the world through their perspective and yeah, relieving the emotions, the big emotions that teenagers have.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, it's all of that. And also, it's just sort of saying yes to new experiences. I think I didn't grow up LARPing. Karina didn't grow up LARPing. It's not something that I knew a lot about. And I think the camp is really inspiring because it's a lot of people younger than myself just bravely stepping forward into very new and scary sometimes experiences and just going for it. And I think it's like incredibly inspiring to see other people doing that. And so I think that was like something I hope that I can take away from like the people in our movie, from everyone who does LARPing. It's just sort of their whole thing is the improv thing of yes and I think they do it better than anybody. So that's sort of my big takeaway from this whole experience.
Now, for the audiences that know, LARPing stands for live action role play, we mentioned. But this film is about so much. There is themes of self-discovery and finding a community and being yourself and being neurodivergent, being queer, imagining, having imagination, getting over past trauma, inner strength. How did you guys like describe to me the process behind it, finding the idea for this film? I mean, it's a very creative film, obviously, but how did you conceive this idea for this film?
Yeah, so I have a friend. When I first met her, she was just the most uninhibited, fearless, creative person I'd ever met. And I used to just sit her down and grill her on like, how did you get this way? Like, no one else is this way. I'm not this way. How do I become this way? And she would say, maybe it's because I went to this LARPing camp in upstate New York where I used to dress up as a fairy or, a wizard or a vampire or whatever, and play these imaginative adventure games. And when she used to tell me about that, it was so clear to me that if I had gone there, not only would it have really helped me, but I would have, as a very emotional teenager, would have just poured out my subconscious and all my emotions into the characters that I played. And later, when I met Judd, the director of the camp, and they confirmed that, it just really felt like a film needed to be made about that. But then, of course, during the process of making the film, Alex came on board, and we really got to really like playing with all these different devices of how do you make this fantasy that they're playing come alive and feel real.
What an incredible, I mean, just story. Again, this is like, at least, for me personally too, like being queer, like this just sounds awesome to have a camp like this and to create a film like this. But so you guys are in the premiere and it's the world premiere of your film. What was it like to be in that theater with the audience watching this film that you had just created for the first time?
I mean, it was sort of cathartic, I think, because we've just been sitting in like dark editing bays, like the one I'm sitting in now, for like over a year, watching this by ourselves or with one other person, and it can become kind of a long, isolating process. So then to get to go to Austin, where like nerds, especially during South by Southwest, are like so celebrated, and everybody kind of can relate to the community that's filmed in our documentary, it's like the best. You know, it's like such a great affirmation of, oh, actually, like this is funny, this is interesting, this does resonate with other people. So yeah, I think for me it was like couldn't have gone better, couldn't have been a better place to play the movie and connect with people. And I think the fact that so many other people relate to something, you know, even people who didn't grow up LARPing, they still relate to the experiences and the characters. Is just amazing. I think that's like by far the best part of this whole process so far for me.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Alex on all of that. And I think something else that was really special was that we had our main three participants with us that first weekend in Austin. So Dexter, Eli, who was formerly Cloud, and Abby, and the director Judd were all there. And it's been such a process for them as well to absorb that there's a film about them and this really sacred place where they have been very vulnerable, that the film exists about it, and B, to like see that get replayed, and then C, have an audience react to them and validate some of these really vulnerable and sensitive moments that they shared with us. So that experience of, they've seen the film before, but having them see it with an audience and an entire crew, and you know, everyone who's ever worked on it with them in the room with the public, it was such a healing experience, a transformative one, a very like full circle kind of like, wow, art really matters and can make a difference. It sounds very corny, but I really felt that in the room that day.
It's so incredible. And you know, you mentioned like Mark art kind of like is a transformative experience. But what I've learned from, you know, interviewing directors and artists and actors over the past few weeks for South by Southwest, excuse me, is that in the creation of these films, like they obviously are creating some, you know, beautiful work of art for them, but they also learn something from it. They go in, they have these filming experiences, and they learn something either from the actors or the places that they're filming, and they learn something, some really big, you know, experience for them. And so, what did you guys learn throughout the creation of this film? What did you guys learn about maybe yourself or just about, you know, like neurodivergence that you think you really took away from this film process?
I mean, yeah, I'll give a really honest answer. I think the pandemic, like a lot of people, I had gone through sort of a period of like shutting people out or shutting out the world and sort of building a shell around myself just because like we kind of all needed to survive a little bit. I don't know if this is what you wanted to hear, Zach, but here you go. But you know, the film involved us going to a camp 3 summers in a row where these young people are so vulnerable. They're being like so brave in their honesty with what they're going through. It's sort of we had to meet them at that level, and I think it kind of cracked open that shell that I had built the last few years of trying to shut out some of these like difficult feelings, and which is hard. I think that came with pros and cons. It's hard to face some of this stuff, but at the same time, that's what life is. And if like an 11-year-old can be honest about like death and what a transformative experience that can be, then it's sort of like as someone in their 40s, I feel like I have to like try to meet them at that. So yeah, I think that's what the big experience for me was sort of looking at younger people and how honest and open they were being, and sort of asking myself if I have to meet them there and can I meet them there. I don't know. Carina, how about
No,
you?
that's a
Yeah.
wonderful answer. I think that really resonates with me, and I think is like such a powerful thing in the film. For me, I mean, there's so many things. But I think that just I learned, especially the filmmaker, just how different everyone is. And Alex and I really were trying to always put the campers first and trying to really get their consent to be in this, their ongoing, continuous, enthusiastic consent that they also had you know, every reason, every opportunity we give them every opportunity to try to withdraw or to not try to withdraw, but give them the opportunity to change their mind, to try to recreate, to create a different, a more modern idea of consent, I guess you could say. And with that constant checking in, we constantly checked in with them. We tried to give them, you know, verbal ways to communicate with us, non-verbal ways to communicate with us. And yeah, just try to create so many different devices to allow them to communicate. And I'm kind of rambling, but in that process, it was just so clear that everyone needs something different. Some people want to be vulnerable in a certain way, but not in another. Some people want to talk all the time and want to, you know, tell you everything, but then some things shouldn't be in there. Or some people are okay with being in the same space, but don't want to talk. And it's just so many permutations of what can make someone comfortable. So that was really eye-opening for me. And then also like with that kind of understanding myself that I'm really different than others and we're all very unique in what makes us comfortable. And kind of I think for myself I like had created by making this film, I created a different relationship with my teenage self and gave myself a little more forgiveness for the tough things I might have gone through. And that yeah, we're all of our journeys are just so unique.
It's so incredible. And that's actually like that's like one of the main themes is like healing and healing past traumas. You know, one thing. So I was actually sadly not able to watch this film because I came into the film festival a little later, and so I wasn't able to watch this film. But I met someone who went to I think it was the second screening of it, and they related this film to Everything Everywhere All at Once, and that they actually learned something about themselves, and the people in the film learned things about themselves. Were you guys ever like were there any films that you kind of like looked up to and wanted to like make this film sort of like that film, an inspirational maybe like TV series or film that you were kind of like looking up to as you created this film?
I mean, yeah, happy to be compared to like Oscar winners anytime you get. But I think Everything Everywhere All at Once did some really amazing visual things that we definitely like looked at, and the way they change aspect ratios and change genres and change music cues and stuff. That movie is like incredible, obviously. So we definitely were inspired by that for sure. I think me personally, like my favorite documentary of all time is American Movie, and it's about, if you haven't seen it, it's these two characters who are like struggling against all odds to make their movie. It's a about filmmakers making a movie, and like they are hilarious people, but I do think the movie does a really good job of not making fun of these characters. It's really sort of like you're with them as they're going through this like just insane journey to make this movie, and I think that I have always loved how that movie balanced both humor but also heart. It let the characters be funny in their own way, and so yeah, American Movie is the one that I always think about.
Yeah, I think Alex and I talked about so many different movies as one does when you're trying to create something. But for me, other documentaries I looked up to was Streetwise, which is by, oh my gosh, just by Martin Bell. And that follows houseless, homeless teenagers in Seattle. And they're just gave them so much space to be themselves that was a really big inspiration. I also thought a lot about another documentary called All This Panic that follows other Brooklyn teenagers, and they really got on their eye level and really like totally like almost like disregarded their parents and was just so much about the teenage experience. I thought was really inspiring, and just like the way that they really saw these girls. And then actually Alex and I talked a lot in the beginning. We both are big fans of Bo Burnham, and his movie, stand up, whatever you want to call it, Inside. And I think like tonally, Inside was a really big inspiration for both of us because it hit this very, very specific point of being poignant, existential, hilarious, absolutely heartbreaking, but overall the deepest truth. That can be very ephemeral. So that was like a really big inspiration for both of us, I think.
So then I gotta know, how did you guys meet? How did you first connect, and was it through this film?
Yeah, we actually met working on like a pretty serious National Geographic documentary about the Amazon rainforest. And that's how Queen and I worked on a TV series that we all produced called Trafficked on National Geographic about black markets and criminals and all this kind of stuff. Um, which was funny because when she first talked about wanting to do a LARP thing, that was sort of like how we knew each other. But it was fun. It was a nice change of pace, at least for me, to move away from potentially being shot at to getting to dress up as a ghost and follow around teenagers who are being fairies.
Yeah. As like not interconnected as it seems, I think like the skill set that Alex and I both had to have to work on a show like that, of getting access with folks who don't want to tell you things, who have, you know, a secret inner world or other world. It actually was surprisingly translatable to work with teenagers. Not that they're doing anything criminal or like that, but you know, it's like very sensitive material to tell someone, you know, this is what's on my heart and it's happening in big ways right at this moment and it feels like life and death. So it sounds really crazy, but I'm in my mind, I'm like, it was the perfect obvious journey for this.
That is so incredible, guys. Well, congratulations on this film. This looks just like an incredible film, an incredible journey, an incredible story. I mean, you were filming it for over 3 years. That was just so incredible to see how it all panned out. But for the audience, how can they watch We Can Be Heroes sometime in the future?
Yeah, we're gonna be going to other film festivals. So if you that's the place to watch it for now. Eventually it'll be streaming somewhere, TBD. But if you go to our Instagram channel, which is at We Can Be Heroes DOC, we'll have all the festivals laid out. I think I'm not supposed to say which ones are coming next, but we will be constantly updating at We Can Be Heroes Doc where the next place will be screening.
Amazing. Well, congratulations to you two on the premiere of this film. It looked just like so much fun. And I know, again, Austin is a very weird city, so this was right up its alley. It's perfect. It's just so Austin. And yeah, congratulations to you guys again. This is an incredible film. And so cannot wait to see you guys have in store for us next. It's going to be an amazing ride.
Amazing.
Thanks so
Thanks,
much,
Zach.
Zach.